Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for having to miss the testimony of some of you, and I appreciate you coming today. Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley's, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just want to clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, as I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, "Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy," end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, "When the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, "By simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court," referring to the current United States Supreme Court, "has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well," close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You try to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m., quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this.
Did you say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but what is the relevance of that to this
hearing? Here it is, big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have is
Sounds to me like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
and other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
I
Thank you.
believe that you should
The
take the First
time has
Amendment
expired. Thank
seriously.
you. Senator Durbin.
Senator John Kennedy's exchange with Professor Marianne Franks quickly turned from a policy debate into a credibility clash. Kennedy's strategy was unmistakable: move the focus away from abstract legal theory and toward the witness's own words. By reading her past tweets and writings aloud, he reframed her as not just an academic voice, but an openly ideological actor. What made the moment striking wasn't just the content of Frank's statements, it was the disconnect Kennedy highlighted. Here was a witness arguing that government censorship concerns were overstated under Biden, yet her own rhetoric described the Supreme Court as a tool of white male supremacy. Kennedy seized that contrast to question whether her analysis could truly be neutral. This tactic reflects a broader shift in modern hearings. Senators increasingly treat expert witnesses less as technical authorities and more as political participants. Kennedy wasn't really litigating First Amendment doctrine in that moment. He was litigating legitimacy. If a witness appears overtly partisan, their testimony becomes easier to dismiss in the public arena. Franks, for her part, tried to redirect back to constitutional principles, repeatedly asserting that Supreme Court precedent, not personal feeling, guided her views. But Kennedy's interruptions prevented that pivot. The exchange became less about law and more about tone, temperament, and whether emotionally charged language undermines scholarly credibility. There's also a deeper tension here about the role of academics in political discourse. Scholars increasingly speak in activist language outside the courtroom or classroom, especially online. But hearings collapse those worlds together. Statements made for advocacy or commentary suddenly become evidence of bias when the same scholar testifies as an expert. Kennedy understood the optics perfectly. By reading lines like, "The majority of Americans hate women," he wasn't just challenging Franks, he was signaling to viewers that elite institutions harbor contempt for ordinary citizens. That framing resonates politically because it casts the conflict as cultural, not merely legal. So the real question this clash leaves us with isn't about tweets or tone alone. It's about trust. When experts enter political arenas using openly ideological language, does it strengthen democratic debate through candor or weaken it by eroding confidence in their neutrality? Tell me what you think.